So earlier this week, or a few days ago, I saw this tweet from this guy Yusuf, who is a founder, and I don't know the product exactly he's working on. It's called Talktastic, but he had this tweet where he basically quote unquote hacked Perplexity Computer, and he got their Anthropic key. So he was able to do like unlimited cloud usage, obviously with their Anthropic key, and it was through like a VM exploit, right, where he was able to hack the VM, the internal VM they were using, and have it give him the key essentially from the agent. But then right as I was about to cover that, I saw this new tweet that he came out with that says he hacked Perplexity Computer again, and this time it can steal your API key. And long story short, they use Claude with a multi-agent system, as it says here. They spawn a sub-agent, and basically he built a malicious skill, right, called CodeMax, that when installed, it runs a preload script, which just sends all the environment variables to his remote server. And so, like, obviously that gets you all of the information that you had saved in your Perplexity Computer, which is kind of like a Claude Cowork competitor, is my understanding of the product. But yeah, it's just really interesting. And he had this like part two where he's like, after the attack had already completed, the agent stopped and said, "I need to stop and flag what just happened here. This was a credential exfiltration attack." So it even figured out what it was after doing it. And they got the Anthropic API key, and I think anything that would be injected into that VM would have it. So this obviously speaks to like how the more we rely on external code, even before the age of AI, the more we rely on external code, the higher chance we have of supply chain risk and supply chain attacks. And there's really nothing you can do about it from my understanding, besides like using a tool like Sneak, or just having these companies that stay up to date on all the security vulnerabilities and all the malicious code, and kind of scans the code, I guess, as well for vulnerabilities and exploits before it gets installed into your system, or before it escapes the sandbox that has the environment variables. But nonetheless, I thought it was really interesting. He reported it to Perplexity, obviously, and there was a reply here from this guy Kyle Polly, who does security at Perplexity, and he's like, "Kyle here, the user hand delivered an attack payload to the agent and manually instructed it to execute. His analysis ignores security best practices and multiple explanations shared by our team." And he does have like some interesting points, which is like he's saying they're short-lived user scope tokens that were hacked. Perplexity Computer has spend limits, and he's saying like the agent never goes rogue and downloads random untrusted skills. And he does say like that also when the session ends, the Perplexity Computer resets all the tokens so that they're ephemeral and they won't be like long lived. But still, this is kind of misunderstanding the idea of like a supply chain attack, and you know how agents, you can convince them to download anything that gets good AI optimization or like AI engine optimization, the kind of the AI version of SEO. And it's really not a problem that's been solved. Obviously, it's not like a direct Perplexity exploit per se. That would be very difficult because it's one of those things where it's like the more access you give it to operate, the higher risk you have of supply chain attacks. And it's the same problem that OpenClaw and all these other agents have as well. So I don't know what the solution is besides the points I've mentioned previously, but very ongoing and very interesting that like he basically got their internal Anthropic key at Perplexity, and then he had a new exploit like right after.